Hey, what's going on guys? Pretty here, and today I'm gonna catch you guys with a really interesting video talking about a bunch of storyline information within Revelations. Now these connections are actually supported by a bunch of different things, from Wisp to things located around the map, so please take all this information with a grain of salt, but let's start this off. Now the way we're gonna start this off is if you guys go to Kino Der Toten and you guys go to the stage, you guys can obviously see the giant mural of the ancient war. Now on the left side we have our heroes and a couple of other people who are helping us out, and on the right side we actually have the Apothicons. Now this is the side that we're going to be focusing on, because if you guys take a look on the Apothicon to the left, he is actually wearing a red scarf and fingerless gloves. Now if you guys remember, before Revelations dropped, we actually got a Final Memories teaser type of trailer, and within that trailer we actually got Dr. Monty revealed to us. Now at that point we knew a lot of information about Dr. Monty himself, but we never saw him in his physical form until that point. And if you guys remember correctly, he is actually also wearing a red scarf and fingerless gloves. Now without even trying, now that you guys know that information, you guys probably assume that Dr. Monty is that Apothicon. Now I'll get back to that in a second, but first of all I want to show you guys some really interesting connections via the quotes that we actually hear whenever we interact with a Wisp from Dr. Monty or the Shadow Man. Now within one of these quotes, Dr. Monty actually explains that him and the Shadow Man were actually really good friends. They were actually best friends, and they might have even been closer than best friends. Now when you think about it like that, no one or nothing else can really be closer than a best friend. A best friend is a person that you can actually go to for a bunch of different stuff. They give you support, they give you encouragement, they actually listen to you, and the only person who's really closer than your best friend is yourself. You are closer than your best friend to yourself, theoretically. And what I mean by that is that Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man might have at one point been the same person. Now don't worry guys, there are more quotes to support this, so let's move on to the next one. So within another Wisp quote, Dr. Monty actually goes on this sort of tangent about worms, and when you hear it for the first time, it sounds like just a bunch of random stuff that he's saying to you. However, when you think about it in this context that I just explained to you guys, it actually makes a lot of sense. So Dr. Monty actually says that when a worm is cut in half, both halves actually live on. And that's very interesting, because maybe the worm is actually himself. Maybe the worm was actually Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man as the one person, and then they were cut in half, split in half, and then we now have Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man. Now moving on to another quote, Dr. Monty actually says that the Shadow Man was a really cool guy. He was generous, he was nice, he was just an overall a really great person until the Apothicons possessed him. Now before we believe Dr. Monty, we actually have to look at the fact that within Revelations, the Shadow Man is 100% the enemy. He is the bad guy. He is the one who's trying to end all the universe via the Apothicons. Now even though the Shadow Man is a really bad guy, that doesn't really mean that Dr. Monty is a good guy. Now within Revelations, we obviously know that we either have to side with Dr. Monty or the Shadow Man, and what's probably going to happen is that one of them is going to die. So maybe Dr. Monty is actually lying to us in order to secure himself and make sure that we take out the Shadow Man. So even though he says that the Shadow Man was actually possessed by the Apothicons and not himself, he might actually be lying, and maybe he himself was at one point an Apothicon as well. Now the fate of both Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man is actually in our hands, and without a doubt that is what is going to be part of the Easter egg ending. We are either going to side with Dr. Monty or the Shadow Man, so it actually makes perfect sense that they're actually trying to lie to us, twisting the truth in order for us to side with them. Now one final thing I want to talk about is that back in the worm quote that was said by Dr. Monty, he actually says that after a worm is cut in half, one of the sides will eventually die, and he says it in a sort of way where he doesn't know which side's going to die, the front or the back. And like I said before, this can actually be a very vague way of him telling us that this is actually what's happening right now, that him and the Shadow Man were at one point the same person, maybe even an Apothicon, and now they were split in half and they're fighting against each other, and eventually we're gonna have to pick one side and one of them will die. But anyways guys, there you guys have it. Those were all the connections that I could find within the Wisp quotes to actually support that the Shadow Man and Dr. Monty were the same person, along with the Kino Der Toten Mural. If you guys actually analyze the Wisp quotes, there are tons of more information within those quotes, but those will be saved for different videos. Now what I want you guys to do is to actually go down in the comments and give me your opinion on these connections. Do you guys actually think that Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man were at one point the same person? And despite that, we're gonna have to pick one side, so tell me down below as well, are you guys on Team Dr. Monty or on Team Shadow Man? But there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, then make sure to drop a like down below, and also subscribe for more Revelations videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.